Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaRakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great meal, son of Ruwal, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of serving truth. Got this article in Zero Hedge, and it's kind of wild, but it's very California. It says California bill to punish doctors for false C19 information goes into effect. So it's like a lot of things basically got pushed through, at the start of this year. It's and a lot of it is like that online restriction kind of shit in the States. But we'll see. It might, because usually with these things, it will become, even if it's just being put in effect in like the US, then when you use it from other countries, well, when you utilize, because like YouTube, I think they even put in new guidelines on YouTube as well at the start of the year, restricting even more what you're allowed to like talk about, things you can mention and whatnot, and what they can punish you for saying. So it's looking like they're looking to do the famine of the word real soon. So it says a bill which allows the state of California to punish doctors over false information about C19 jump shots and treatments went into effect on January 1st. Under the new law, which took effect January 1st, the state's medical board would categorize dispensing information, such as the effectiveness of ivermectin or the C19 jump shots rapidly waning in efficacy, as unprofessional conduct. Yeah, which are things that have, it's funny because that shit's even the guys that were back in it are now saying the so-called doctors and whatnot within ESOL system, they're admitting that, like, yeah, this, it's all BS, like it's noise, like it's real shit. The shit don't run. So it says a few days ago, Gavin Newsom, well, that's just a tweet. Let's say Assembly bill provides a dissemination of misinformation, and it's funny because misinformation has become that like blanket term. It's the tool being used to justify essentially just more or less anything can be thrown under that kind of umbrella. Just say, oh, that's misinformation, and then it's like what do you call it? You say it's misinformation, and then people, well, it's essentially a justification. So it says the law was challenged. Okay, so the law was challenged in court by two California doctors who said it would restrict their free speech in violation of the First Amendment, and that was vague. And that First Amendment, people have been still believing it was a thing, but that shit's done. It's dead. Like, you just, it's not yet on the scale like where it's in the UK, it's as vague as, you cause distress and alarm. You say America's gonna be destroyed, and then if that causes someone distress, then go call the cops, and the cops can haul you. You can get thrown in jail, you can get arrested, and then they can remand you in custody overnight. But it's basically getting there to where that thingy is meaningless. The whole concept of the First Amendment don't mean shit. And it was vague under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. However, on December 28th, Biden nominee Judge Fred Slaughter refused to halt the law, ruling that the law trumps free speech claims and that it falls within the long-standing tradition of regulations on the practice of medical treatments. Yeah, so now, and the funny thing is even though but this is only in California so far, so it's not on a national scale. But you could have something put on a national scale later on, which might not have the same word and will have the same effect. Because the thing is what they're basically saying is you can't say certain things, even though it's like, when you look at the process of events, it's been found time and again that even though they're saying like, oh, XYZ, these laws basically, not even these laws, they were saying what was it, as far as the details of the jump shot and whatnot were one thing. Then, years later, people coming out saying, nah, that's not what it is. Then years later, they admit to it, even after, people getting the channel swatted, people getting, losing jobs, all this off the back of it. It's funny because I think even there was people that lost their jobs for not getting a jump shot, like health workers and whatnot. There was a few of them that managed to sue and get money, but I have to look into it. But that's how much it flipped completely on its head. But at the time, it was basically coming out like, if you're not doing this, you're the devil. They were coming against, man. So it says, another lawsuit brought by the physicians for informed consent was filed in U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of California in early December. Let me just skip to. So it says, and argues that the state of California has weaponized a vague phrase, misinformation, which that's been used heavily because they throw that in the mainstream media, where they'll just talk about, okay, yeah, misinformation, we're combating misinformation, this sort of misinformation, blah blah blah. But then in reality, what how does that even pan out? How does that actually work in reality? Like that misinformation shit. It basically, they can just throw anything they want under that umbrella, and that's essentially, that's why it's been expanded over time to where it's just like, okay, you say certain things, they'll just say, okay, that's misinformation, and then they'll be looking to throw you in jail. You lose your job, you'll be getting demonized. Funny as hell, but yeah, that's why it's like, well, I think even they said like the side effects, those are things that they don't want talked about, because you had another what was it? What's it called in America? NFL. Another NFL player have a heart attack a few days back. What do you think's going down? But now they're making it so in California, at least you can't talk about it. We'll see if it gets expanded. So Isaiah 29:15, it says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord Jehovah, and their works in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? And that's what these things are. These things are basically enacting plans, bringing into effect, plans that are pushing forward to a further end down the line. It's not just a thing where they're just going to stop at this, because just like with all these laws, they kind of get one and then they build on top, build on top, build on top. Like with the lockdowns, it started with just, okay, we need this just to combat this, but now it's in law to where they can just bring it back, which they did at the drop of a hat if they so decide. And now as well, you've got China opening up, and they're saying, oh, there's new strains, there's new this, there's new that. So that it can make a comeback, that could be the start of 2023, where they're just like, okay, we're going to push this vibration back. It says, what? Surely your turning things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed of him? No, shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? And yeah, that's he's still turning things upside down to where it's like, you talking about certain things. Now it's like, okay, you're getting demonized. You're questioning, like, hold on, this, you guys were saying one thing, now you said something else. They're like, nah, you can't even talk about that anymore. There's a lot of them, it's like, you mentioned certain things. That's why you have to talk in code, because otherwise, your channel will just get swatted, you just get strikes, and it's just getting zapped into the stratosphere. So with, Esau's flipped everything on his head to where it's essentially comes down to whatever he decides, is that whatever he decides is correct. That's what's correct, isn't it, man? Revelation 13:14, it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles that he had the power to do. In the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. Yeah, that's part of this. This is why Esau's got the draw, yes, because why the the miracles, the technology, all these different things. He's basically capable of bringing to light, and people are like, ooh, ah, shiny eyed and whatnot. So they just run with it, and that's what does it say? It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So yeah, with that image of the beast, with Esau's system, when it's like that image of the beast, all these philosophies and whatnot, it's if you're not buying into what's being sold, in the mainstream, you're getting, especially with social media, you're being ostracized. You mention certain things, people will just like make a face and start like, not thinking, oh, this guy's like, it's fucking mine. If you question like, oh, why would I get the jump shot or whatever, they start getting kooky. But then what? They start getting kooky. But then what? What do you call it? It's really just about bringing everyone under that image of the beast to have the same full pattern. And then what? That's why you have on the Georgia Guidestones, maintain humanity under 500 million, because a great amount of people are gonna be put to death for not if you're not complying, man. That's where it's going to, and that's why all these things are being used to be like, hey, you're not allowed to talk about, you're not allowed to think about things in that way. But hey, it's all prophecy, and hey, it's gonna wax worse, man. That marks that Charugma, that MLTV is gonna come out. It's gonna get peaked. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.